Warning, incoming goblin. Warning, incoming game. You get it, it's a reboot reference.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. with free weekly content and free shipping on orders over $150. You can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMudsta. I'm also sponsored by Face to Face Games, Canada's premier Magic the Gathering store. Using the promo code MTGMudsta will get you 5% off site-wide, with eligible orders getting free shipping Canada-wide. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game is a little special because not only do we not have any blue, we don't have any green. We've got Seb deciding to play his Neheb Dreadhorde Champion deck, and he keeps 2 mountains, Mind Stone, and 4 Dragon's Approach, which should tell you all you need to know about the deck. Maxim is playing Rionya, keeping 4 mountains, Forgotten Cave, Shenanigans, and a Lightning Bolt. He wants to cast a bunch of cheap costing spells to make a bunch of token copies of creatures and swing them at face. My game plan is super straightforward with Krenko, which is make goblin tokens and attack with goblin tokens or sacrifice them for great value. I keep 2 snow-covered mountains, Shared Animosity, Goblin Bombardment, Goblin Crater Maker, Valakut, and Dragon Fodder. Felix is once more rocking his Cadric deck, hoping to make some tokens of his own, although they have to be legendary, and he keeps a Plains, a Mountain, Wayfarer's Bauble, Italy, Slayer's Stronghold, his own copy of Neheb Dreadhorde Champion, and a Blade of Selves. Seb wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws and plays a Reliquary Tower. Maxim just plays a Mountain. I've got to tap Valakut and pass after that. Felix has a Mountain as well, and pays 1 for a Wayfarer's Bauble. Seb's turn has him playing a Mountain, and he taps out for a Mind Stone. During his end step, Maxim cycles the Forgotten Cave to draw a card. Maxim draws for turn and plays a Mountain. He then pays 2 for his own artifact, with Lightning Greaves coming in, and passes. I get to play a Den of the Bugbear, which comes in untapped because I control so few lands, and then I pay 2 for a Goblin Crater Maker. Felix plays a Plains, and pays the 2 to crack his Bauble, passing while searching for a basic. Seb plays the only type of basic he can, which is a Mountain, and then uses the Mind Stone and the rest of his lands to cast Neheb. Maxim just plays a Mountain and passes. I've got a snow-covered Mountain for turn, and then pay 3 for Shared Animosity. All of a sudden, I'm the bad guy at the table, and all of my friends suddenly agree that I need to be taken out as I pass my turn. Felix plays a Slayer's Stronghold, and also taps out for his commander, Cadric. Seb has a Mountain for turn, and then goes straight to combat. He swings Neheb at Felix, and Felix decides not to block because he doesn't want to lose his commander, and instead takes the hit. This triggers Neheb's on damage ability, allowing Seb to discard his hand, draw that many, and make that much red mana, which in this case, all of that is 6. In his second main phase, he then casts a Dragon's Approach, dealing 3 to each opponent. He's then able to exile it, and 4 other cards named Dragon Approach in his graveyard, to go and tutor for a dragon from his library and put it to field. He puts to field a Furyborn Hellkite, which because of the Bloodthirst 6 trigger being met, comes in with an additional 6+1/+1 counters.
Remember when I said not a 15-minute game, Seb?
Yes.
This is 4 minutes. So...
He's not done playing with his dragons though, and uses the remaining floating mana, plus a Mind Stone, to cast a Leyline Tyrant. He passes after that. Maxim plays a Mountain while Felix double checks if the Hellkite does anything else. With nothing else, Max passes. I've got another snow-covered Mountain for my land for turn, and then cast a Goblin Bombardment. I then follow it with a Dragon Fodder, making 2 Goblin tokens and passing. Felix draws and counts up the board of creatures. He then taps 3 mana to cast Search for Glory, and goes into his library to find a Flagstones of Trocaire. He plays it as his land for turn, and then uses it to pay the 1 to Cadric's ability, making a token copy of it. This leaves him with a red and a white, and he taps the mana to help cast Blasphemous Act. The board is then wiped, and I realize now in hindsight I should have sacrificed my goblins to ping people with the Goblin Bombardment, but oh well. In response to the wipe, Seb floats some mana onto the Tyrant, and then as it dies, pays to blast Felix in the face with it. With Cadric dying, the legendary rule it protects the copy from is gone, and Felix sacrifices the token and goes to find a tapped Sacred Foundry. He passes to Seb after that. Seb untaps and draws. He plays a mountain and then immediately recasts Neheb, passing to Max after that. Maxim draws and pays 5 in his main phase, casting a Mana Geyser. His opponents have 15 tapped lands, which nets him 15 red mana. One of it goes to a Lightning Bolt, which he directs to Seb's face, and Max's storm count goes to 2. He then pays 2 for Shenanigans, which makes its storm count 3, and blows up Seb's Mind Stone. 4 mana then goes into Past in Flames, storm count 4, which allows him to recast Mana Geyser, which is his 5th spell, and he makes another 15 red mana. Maxim then flashes back Lightning Bolt, dealing 3 to my face, and this is his 6th spell this turn. He finally casts a non-instant or sorcery, and plays out a Combustible Gearhulk. As it enters, he has the trigger go on me, and I have him mill, which has Maxim revealing his 3, and I take 4 damage from them. Maxim then brings out Rionya, and once she resolves, moves the Lightning Greaves onto the Gearhulk. He immediately realizes his mistake since Rionya targets, and he decides to equip them onto her. Moving to combat, he gets 6 token copies of the Gearhulk, each one coming in and triggering its Enter the Battlefield trigger. This gives him 6 of those, and he puts them all onto me. For the first trigger, I have him mill, and he reveals 6 CMC worth of cards, and I take 6. For the second trigger, I have him mill again, and this time take 7. Third time's a charm, and I have him mill again, taking another 10. The fourth, I Can't Stop Now, has him milling again, and dealing the final 6 to me to take me out. The rest of the table is thankful, as this fizzles the 2 other triggers, and I die. Moving to combat, he has to decide if Felix or Seb is more likely to have a board wipe, and sadly Felix gets that honor since he's in white. Maxim swings 42 points worth of damage at him, and takes him out, and once that's done, passes turn. Moving to his end step, Maxim exiles his tokens. Seb untaps and draws. It's turn 6 and 2 of his opponents are dead and not by his hand, so he doesn't feel in the best position. He looks at his yard, and then asks to see Maxim's. 2 mana then gets him a Pyromancer's Ascension, a card I fondly remember from my earliest iteration of Modern Storm. Seb then casts a Dragon's Approach, dealing 3 to Maxim, and adds a counter to his Ascension. Sadly, Seb doesn't have enough approaches in his graveyard to exile them and find a dragon, and all he can do is pass to Max after that. Maxim untaps and plays a mountain. He looks through his graveyard, but he's not sure how he can make a big amount of mana, and just decides to cast a Heraldic Banner, naming red. Moving to combat, he makes a token copy of the Gearhulk with Rionya, which enters, and Seb has Maxim mill the 3. This has Max revealing 4 converted mana cost worth of cards, and Seb takes 4. Maxim then only swings the Gearhulk token at Seb and deals 7. He passes after that. Seb draws and lives for another turn. He taps 3 mana for a Foily Dragon's Approach, dealing 3 to Max, and adds another counter to his Ascension. Sadly, he still doesn't have enough copies of Approach to exile them, and has to pass to Max. Maxim draws and pays 5 to flashback Past in Flames, and his storm count goes to 1. He then uses Twin Flame to make a token copy of the Gearhulk, which is his second storm. With that token entering, Seb has a mill, taking only 1. Maxim then moves to combat and gets to make 3 more token copies of the Gear Hulk. Seb decides to have a mill each time, taking 0 on the first, 6 on the second, and 4 on the third. Sadly, this puts him in the danger zone for attacks, because even with blocking with Neheb, Max has enough to get through and wins the game. Game review time. So that was a quick one, which makes sense when you have 4 decks that are primarily red. I had enough lands and some token enablers and some payoffs, but I guess it wasn't fast enough. In hindsight, I'm not entirely sure what the right choice was with the combustible Gear Hulks. Milling the cards basically gave him more fuel, and putting them to his hand did the same, since he had Past in Flames, meaning he could cast them from flashback without too much of a hassle. I think if I'd forced him to draw all the cards, I probably would have made it harder for him to take out Felix, which might have worked out better in the end. I think we were very lucky with Felix having that blasphemous act, because it seemed like Seb was about to start going off and getting a ton of dragons. And even if he hadn't, I don't think board wipes worked all that well against Max, since a lot of his tokens only came in on his turn. That felt like a great showcase for Seb's Neheb deck, and I really got to see the power of Dragon's approach. It seemed really easy to enable with Neheb allowing him to discard his hand and draw him new cards and make him mana, and I wonder if Neheb is actually one of the better Dragon's approach commanders in general. While Seb may have had a good start, Max's turn 5 was incredible. He exploded, and it was heavily in part because of Mana Geyser. Having only ever cast Combustible Gear Hulk in a fair and honest way, I can honestly say I never thought I was going to die to the ETB triggers, and yet here we are. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.